Okay, it's time for me now to deal with the Chisholms. Mr. and Mrs. Chisholm and their 3-year-old boy, Ricky, were in the kill zone. They had some valuable real estate they were occupying there. They were east, as we can see in the Bronson slide here, they were east of the Umbrella Man and Dark Complected Man, who were two people who were involved in the assassination. They're also east of the two teenage boys, one of whom, I say, is the son of J.D. Tippit, who was murdered shortly later. And there they are as the presidential limousine is approaching. And here in the Willis 5 photo, the president's still approaching. You can see the Chisholms, and you can see the other people I mentioned there, Umbrella Man. You can't see Dark Complected Man here. And the two teenage boys. They look like they're arranged differently here than in the Bronson slide, but that's just because of camera perspective. The Chisholms are nearer to the camera than the teenage boys. And I've also circled her handbag, which I find to be of interest, so you can see where it is. She seems to be holding it down in front of her, her right hand on one end of the handbag, and probably her left hand on the other end, although the picture quality isn't as good as I would like. And this is a graphic that I just made recently, which has prompted my renewed interest in the Chisholms. As I said in a recent video, you can see in the ghost image, the ghost images from the Zapruder film, you can see underneath the Stemmen sign. And when you analyze where everybody is, you have to conclude that the only person this dark man is, this darkly dressed person is underneath the sign, the only person that can be is Mr. Chisholm, because it's not the Umbrella Man, it's not either of the teenage boys, and there's nobody else it could be other than Mrs. Chisholm, and she's not dressed darkly. So that's Mr. Chisholm, who in these frames bends over and reaches down with his left hand to the area of the handbag. I can't say for certain he's reaching to the handbag. Maybe he's going to scratch his wife's belly right here as the president is going by. You might theorize that he's making a very strange wave to the president, but at this point, the president is probably directly in front of him, and I don't think you'd bend down to wave like that. So I think he's probably reaching for the handbag. Maybe he wants some chewing gum. And here in a frame of the Wagman film, you can see the Chisholm family right there. Little Ricky is still standing on his own, as he has been all the time so far. And the presidential limousine is about to go under the bridge there. And they are standing there watching. And this is another frame from the Wagman film shortly after. And this is Mr. Chisholm. Can't see his face, but I'm certain from looking at all the photography that's who this has to be. It's Mr. Chisholm running towards the east end of the pergola. Now here in the Botham photograph, we catch up with the Chisholms again, and they're up by the east end of the pergola. And at this point we can see that Mrs. Chisholm is carrying the boy, and Mr. Chisholm is just looking around. And in the Rickerby photos, we can see that the Chisholms have moved across the lawn, and Mrs. Chisholm is handing off the boy to Mr. Chisholm, who takes the boy, and they both continue running west. And the photography here, couch film, shows the Chisholms continuing to move in a westerly direction. And I don't know if this is from the couch film. I would think it probably is. But that shows they keep going that way. And we have the story that they encountered a police officer. It's not clear to me where they did. But anyway, they encountered a police officer and were taken to the sheriff's office, where we see them here awaiting their interrogation. I read somewhere they said they were there 8 or 9 hours. I don't see why that should be the case, but There were more than one person said that they were there quite a long time for questioning. Now, going back to the Bothan photo here, or this crop from it, I want to take note of Mrs. Chisholm's very long handbag. That thing looks like it's almost 2 feet long. It's a very long handbag. And I'm going to run this clip from the Weigmann film as stabilized by Gerda, I believe. Just because I think this gives a good appreciation of the handbag. Maybe it's not quite 2 feet. I think it's pretty close. I think it's a pretty long handbag. And, well, I'm not talking about the style, but I think it's interesting that we have a long handbag here. And just for fun, let's compare the handbag as it appears in the Bothan photo to the way it appears in the Willis photo. Now, it looks like it's a longer handbag after the shooting than before the shooting. That's what I'm saying here. You can't be certain because in the Willis photo on the right, Mrs. Chisholm is holding the bag at something of an angle, and that can make something appear to be shorter than it actually is. So it could be a big long handbag in the Willis, but to me it looks like it's about half the length, the thing she's holding in the Willis photo, as the thing she's holding in the Bothan photo. And going back to the Bothan photo here, in both the close-up and the wider area, the Chisholms are still circled in red here, and to the right of that there is Shadow Man. Shadow Man is walking away from the area where the Chisholms are standing. Assuming he was walking in a straight line, he would have been in the same area as the Chisholms are now just seconds before. So I think we have a possible explanation. If Mrs. Chisholm has a different handbag afterwards, it could be because this man handed it to the Chisholms at the east end of the pergola. And while I don't really want to mention the name of James Files, part of his story, which I don't believe at all, but part of his story was that he was behind the fence using a Remington, I forget what he called it, but this is one of those Remington pistols that existed in 1963. That was the first year they started marketing this pistol, selling it to the public. And this might be a later design here, I'm not sure. But it's a pistol with an elongated barrel and an optional scope. And the dimensions, of course, are much smaller than a rifle. In fact, a gun of this size could have been under Oswald's armpit and cupped in his hand in his curtain rod package. And it could also, I think, fit in a very long handbag. And although it may be sacrilege to do so, I am introducing the idea, suggesting the idea that a Remington XP100 could have been brought in the morning by Lee Harvey Oswald under his armpit in the curtain rod package, and it could have been used behind the picket fence, and whoever used that gun could have brought it to the east end of the pergola and either put it in Mrs. Chisholm's handbag or perhaps handed her a handbag in which it had already been deposited. There, I have made the suggestion. And now I think I should go hide my head in shame.
A handbag?